Alright, it is 9 o'clock a.m. and what is this? This is a Thursday, right? Yep, it's a Thursday, and oh buddy, it's gonna be just a watch to see if there's any morning panic bounce plays. I don't think there's gonna be any today. I'm gonna look at the OTCs that were up, just run some scans and see if maybe there's anything that could be a morning panic bounce play. I find it really funny that this random freaking degenerate day trader, choppy, crazy listed stock just had a financing literally the next day after this run up, and it's down 50%. And that's what sucks about listed stocks, is that it can have a financing that's down 50% on the day, and you don't have much control over that. It just it trades pre-market. OTCs can trade pre-market too, but they rarely do, even if they have bad news. It does happen though, like NSAV, but I mean, that just really sucks. Looking now, maybe the only thing I would have considered might have been an inverse head and shoulders, but even that wouldn't have been perfect because this thing was very close to the head. That would have been maybe a buy in the 750s. I mean, it did run up here, getting towards the market close, but I do need to try to push myself to trade listed stocks more. Maybe I'll just be small and trade $400 or $500 positions, maybe something even smaller. I don't want anything to do with HPIL other than the fact that maybe it can try to bounce again, but it might not be as strong as it was yesterday, which wasn't that impressive either. EMVP I'll probably remove, and Robinhood I'll probably want nothing to do with this today, just because it's not doing much today. So probably no trades today. Maybe there's a chance, but I'm not trying to force myself to get in the position or a trade that I'm really not that good in, especially with a larger size. Alright, it is 9:50, no trades, but I will go over my attempted buys. HPIL was one, and that was at 9:33 right here. It kind of got really sketchy. I had it at 51, and then it did this quick spike to 53, and it drops back to 50, and that really just threw me off. I already knew the setup wasn't perfect because the VWAP is not very far from the initial level I was trying to go in, so I canceled it. And then the recent one, STEV, was a dip towards VWAP. I think I was just too slow. That was at 9:49, so right in this little wiki turnaround candle I had a buy at 203, and that was a limit order. But when I placed the order, it ended up being on the bid because it kind of just spiked rather quickly. But it did turn around here. It does trade with a large spread, so I would have to be trying to sell in the ask to get a really nice profit. And that was just a tiny, in theory, $200 position just to play it safe, because I don't have that much experience with dip towards VWAP setups. I'm getting more experience, but it's nothing like a morning panic bounce play. The only thing really going for a morning panic bounce play is NSAV. Unfortunately, yeah, these things just turn around really quickly. You go for a level 2 reversal, not really a level to risk off of, unless you wanted to risk here 22. It did have a few wicks, but it wasn't perfect. Maybe if this thing makes a lower low, I'll be interested in it. I don't really consider this one to be like the 3 ticker type of setup stock. It might follow that path, but this one I don't think is trading with enough of volume, or it really seems to have that price action for me to consider it. So that's where I'm at. PBYA, I was interested in this, but it turned around very quickly. I don't regret that. I was trying to see if it could do like a double bottom here. It didn't really do it. Maybe this lower low is gonna work, but the volume is not looking that nice. So that's where I'm at. Maybe NSAV for a lower low. Not really perfect. And then HPIL is uptrending, which is nice, but look at where it is. It's not really that nice in that sense. STEV did work for a little bit, and it does trade again with a spread, so it will be kind of, even though it went that high, I don't know if I would have been very profitable, just because of how hard it is to trade it. SONN is a listed stock that's up. I don't see anything nice that I really want to trade off of it. It's very, very, very choppy. So that's where I'm at. I don't see anything right now, but I'll keep looking. It does, I think, look a little better than yesterday. Alright, it is 10:24 a.m. and I just had the biggest trade in the world. I traded my largest size. Absolutely not. I traded 10,000 shares, which is super tiny. Just because I'm not really liking the way the stocks are trading right now, and this one doesn't necessarily trade with a lot of volume, PBYA, but why did I take a trade here? I bought 1020 right here, 1020. I mean, I guess I could have done better with my entry. I could have bought maybe at 131. Instead I got 131.5. That's the exact level right here, 131.5 at 1020. So it was right here again. And I took the buy because it was a sketchy inverse head and shoulders, low volume, shoulder, head, shoulder. You know, in theory, my risk level was 130. So I'm in at 131.5, 1020. I thought I could uptrend. Maybe 135 is going to be the neckline and the most I can do. And, you know, it started the uptrend. Okay, sure. And then I put a sell order at 133. And that was 1022. Immediately in 1022, half of it was filled at 133, and then the rest were filled the next minute. As you can see, it closed at 1023. My trade, that's when I got out. You know, yeah, sure, it could go better. It could make an uptrend. It's not really doing it now. Now it's downtrending, but you know, the volume wasn't really that strong. I thought maybe it could pick up or something like that. It just wasn't looking perfect. I traded a tiny position, just a tiny profit. Let's just go over the other ones. NSAV, this one did do like a level 2 turnaround, which is super hard, but because, you know, you feel like you're playing with more risk, although 220 was the level to hold, I guess. It did get as high as 23, went back and forth, sketchy wick right here, and then it broke VWAP. It just skipped on air, really, and it got as high as 26. So that's actually not that bad in terms of range. I mean, 22 to 26, that's very you know, that's a lot more than 10%, maybe 20%. So that was a setup there that in theory I could have traded. I also could have traded in theory the VWAP higher low from this morning panic bottom, but that would have been kind of hard. I wasn't looking at it anymore, and I mean, it did get to 24.9 from this 23.8, so it's not the best, but I mean, it could have been worse. Looks like it's back at 130 HPIL. Just a really silly low volume, just speculative trade. Almost a boredom trade, but not that bad because it was an inverse head and shoulders. This is something I can't trade with large size or with, you know, a larger account in theory. HPIL could be a dip towards VWAP setup at any point. BIOC, I was looking at this for inverse head and shoulder, but then this thing was too high, so it wasn't a proper head for inverse head and shoulders. Looks like we had that classic listed stock big random red candle, and maybe this could be the head. Shoulder, head, shoulder. I will be kind of scared, but maybe it might not be that bad to risk 387 breaking and then maybe try to go for some kind of reversal, but that might be a bit too hard, especially if this red candle happened because of bad news. That could be an idea. Wow, that's nice, just random breakout. STEV, it's now at 25. I did not see this. 20, not 25, 22. Now it's at 25.9, 26. That's impressive. That's really impressive. I did not see that. Alright, this thing is definitely going to stay on my watch list. I guess I'll be looking at BIOC. It's not really that ideal. It's probably better than PBYA. And definitely STEV. Maybe with a spike like this, if it continues and it drops towards VWAP, I'll be interested in that. Same with HPIL. That's what I got for right now. Alright, it is 10:35. I probably didn't hold this thing long enough to really give it a chance to be profitable, but I just really didn't like the price action on the initial spike it did right here. I thought it would be a lot stronger and turned out to be a kind of weak, but again, that could just me being a chicken, not having that much experience with listed stocks. Anyway, I took a buy at 1033, which was right here, right before it uptrended actually, and that was at 388. My entry was actually not bad. It was at the lower part of this candle, and my risk level was 384 cracking. Of course, I don't want to actually sell there if it goes down there, especially if we have just a big listed stock red candle. I'm going to be selling, but you know, I wanted this because this could be like a inverse head and shoulders, and I'm buying the head. So here's the shoulder, head, and then it spikes, right, and then it makes another shoulder. But right here it's a bit more risky, but I'm trading the head like a potential head. It might not form, it might just downtrend again and do the same thing it did right here. But that was the idea, a potential head of an inverse head and shoulders buy. And that was again my buy. It was just the price action was looking somewhat nice. It was trying to do like a little bit of an uptrend. You can see the lower lows, not lower lows, the higher lows off of the wicks of these candles. It was kind of showing like maybe it could uptrend. So that's why I took a buy at 1033, right? Immediately worked the next candle, but I wasn't liking the price action. It just seemed a bit too toppy, right? It just wasn't that clean. I thought it would make maybe a larger uptrend with more volume, but maybe I'm asking for something that this stock doesn't trade. I just didn't like the price action. In theory, this thing could head towards VWAP. That would have been the goal, but yeah, now it's downtrending. I just didn't like the price action. I thought it would have traded a lot nicer, but at the same time, even though I felt like that and I cut the trade for that reason, while it was starting to downtrend a little from this, it was my sell at 35. Yeah, when it was at 97, then it just started the downtrend. I was like, I don't know, man, this thing doesn't look that nice, but it could still work. I'm just maybe not being patient enough for it. I just thought the spike would be a lot stronger than what it turned out to be. So that's why I cut the trade there. It could still work even with this right here, but I'd be more likely interested in selling now. So that was my buy at 388, basically 389, and I sold at 94. The high was 97. It's downtrending some more. It doesn't look that bad because it trades with a lot of volume. I don't like how I had this volume day here, but now this volume is much higher than it was back then. I mean, the volume here was what, 8 million, and right now we're at, you know, 33 million. So, you know, those are the things I look for, because that could indicate if there's back holders or not. None of this really interests me or scares me, because if it doesn't have a lot of volume, there isn't a lot of potential people who might be bag holders who are trying to sell. I'll make an update to see if this thing works out. It can, but I don't like the way it's trading. I think that was a nice speculative attempt. HPIL could be a dip towards VWAP, especially if VWAP keeps uptrending. The only thing that throws me off is that it could go red on the day if it touches VWAP, and maybe that just changes the entire setup. STEV continues this. I guess I missed this. This could have been a bull flag, but I was too busy looking at BIOC. That just wiped it out, actually. Yeah. I'll watch it, though, if it does a dip towards VWAP setup. NSAV. I was looking at this, right? It did do this little thing here, but now I wouldn't be interested in it. Although I can turn around. There's just a lot of bag holders in this one, unfortunately. PBYA did do it again, so this would have been the inverse head and shoulders. And this one properly got to VWAP at 135. That's not bad. I mean, for what we have right now, that's not bad. That's all I have, really. I think as we get towards the middle of the day, I'll stop looking at setups and I'll just be working on other things. I still have to fulfill a lot of orders. So I'll just be watching HPIL, STEV for a dip towards VWAP, but that's about it. I'll try to be less interested in trading just because of the way, you know, the setups are right now and the time of day too. Alright, it is 8:33 p.m. and I'm here to call it off and just to look at the stocks and see what has happened since the last time I was on. And yeah, I made a very tiny like $3 and something cents, just something super small. I have an $8,000 account, but I want to trade small positions on setups I'm not too sure on. Maybe stocks that are not very liquid, I trade smaller. And on top of that, listed stocks, I don't have that much experience in it. I'll just gladly trade my small positions. You know, I'm just here to gain some experience trading things that, you know, in theory, sure, I could trade with larger size, but I just want to just keep getting experience. BIOC did exactly what I feared, which was another big red candle. This was 2 red candles, but it was trying to trade this range. I thought maybe inverse head and shoulders, the head, shoulder, head, and then it goes up, shoulder. But you know, I'm in at the head, and there's a lot of range. You know, it would have been nice if it went to 418 from this 386 level. That wouldn't have been too bad. But it did have that red candle. Very hard to call. Not very common with listed OTC stocks, which is why I like OTC stocks a lot more. NSAV could have been a morning panic bounce play, but it just traded a bit weird. But I need to expect this. You know, right now it seems like a lot of these just turn around with level 2. Doesn't, you know, really care too much about trading in a range after the big volume candle. It's just a sign to consider the fact that maybe, you know, reversal could be soon, and just go for a level 2 reversal. It went from 22. It would have been hard to hold through this, but it did get to 25.8, 26. So not bad at all. PBYA. This one was interesting. It was this is one of my trades, that inverse head and shoulders, right? And you know, the idea was shoulder, head, and then shoulder. It did this move. I bought and sold into this move. And I did think it was going to do something like this. It did drop back to the level. It held. It still makes a shoulder. You know, it went from 13 to, you know, 14.7. That's a lot of nice range. So that could have been super profitable. Even with my tiny freaking position, that would have been a profitable trade. That's what I was thinking it was going to do. It would have been kind of quick. It would have given you some chances to sell in a 143, 144 level, even 141. I bought and sold. I think it was like, yeah, 132, but I think it was like right in the middle between these two. So that was a trade there. And again, BIOC, my trade was here. I sold into the first run up. Big red candles. SCEV looks very strange. HPIL went back to 60. It could have been a morning panic bounce play here, but I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. And this one did work over a longer period of time, but I don't know, that would have been hard for me to trade. So that's all I got, just 2 trades, 2 tiny trades. Yeah, just not the best market right now, but I think that was a good try. Some experience, nothing too degenerate, but you know, I need to just keep taking it one step at a time, especially with the way they're moving right now.